Hello everyone. In today's lab I'm going to teach you a little bit about parenting objects to one another, grouping and layers. They're all sort of, I don't know how to say it. They kind of are very similar but in their own unique way, so they are all different. I'm going to start with just getting into it. It's the easiest way. I'm going to start by creating a cube. I'm going to show you some cool little tricks. This could be P cube 1. I don't mind the naming. I'm going to tap Shift D, press W for my move tool, and I don't know, let's try 1.5. Should work. Okay. And if I bring it down, let's just try 1.25. Should be okay. All right, so I'm going to move them 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've just created 5 cubes. Now, what I'm going to first do with this, now they're all named P cube 5. You could rename them if you'd like. We're going to animate them. I'm going to keep the names the same for now. And what I want to show you is parenting. So the first thing, before I get into parenting all this, let's create one more cube. And what I'd like to show you, if I click on one, and I'm going to switch to my modeling tab, see if I can find it in here. It's probably under edit. Yep, okay. So I'm looking for the edit parent and or unparent, keyboard shortcut P and keyboard shortcut Shift P to unparent. So I'm just going to show you really quickly. I'm going to click on one. I'm going to hold Shift and select the next one. Now what that means, you'll notice one is white and one is green. It means that the white one is going to be the child of the green one. So let's go ahead and create one more. So, and it kind of, let me just show you again. So I'm going to hold Shift, select one. You'll notice that would be quote unquote the parent as green. And hold Shift, you'll notice now this would be the child. Now I haven't parented anything, but I'm just showing you sort of the hierarchy of how things work. I'm going to hold Shift again and select the last one. Now I'm going to tap P on my keyboard for parent. And now you're going to see that if I select this one, it shows them all here. However, because these are its own unique, this is the parent. So now if I rotate this, the children are going to follow it no matter where I move it. But if I move this one, it doesn't move the other child, right? So you have to think of it as this is the parent, this is child 1, and this is child 2. Now if I wanted to create a slightly different system where I have sort of child, parent, and grandparent, that would be the hierarchy. I'm going to hold Shift here with the first one selected, holding Shift, select the next one, and tap P on my keyboard. And now I've got a separate parent-child relationship here, right? So this is the child, this is the parent, and now this is the grandparent. So now I can move this one uniquely and independently from this one, but I can move them all here, and this one can still move independently. It's just on its own, right? It doesn't have all of the others. So that's how parenting works. Now if I wanted to unparent something, I can click this one, hold Shift and tap P, and now I've unparented, or hold on, I have to select the child and press Shift P, and now I've unparented the child from its parent. But I already Shift P'd this one, so let's go back to the beginning. I know this is a little confusing. And I'm just doing a quick lecture. It's going to make more sense when I get into this. But let's do Control D and Shift D. Right, so now I'm going to select one, hold Shift, select the next one, tap P. Now this is the child of this. This is the parent. I'm going to select the parent and select this one. And now they're all have their own separate hierarchy. Now the way let's rotate this. Let's rotate this. And let's rotate this. Now, tapping the child here, holding Shift P, is going to unparent this child from this parent. But this one is still parented, so I can still move these. Oh, okay. But let's say I didn't mean to do that. I wanted to have them all unparented. I can click on this one, hold Shift, tap P, and now they're all independent of their own unique properties. So just an FYI, I just wanted to show you a little bit about parenting and unparenting. We're going to do the same exact thing on our cubes here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this be the child, and this is going to be the great-great-great-grandparent, right? So I'm going to select this one. I'm going to tap minus on my keyboard just to make my tool move a little bit smaller. I don't know if you remember that from a much earlier video, but plus and minus will increase and decrease the size of your tool. Holding Shift, I'm going to select this one. I'm going to tap P. I'm going to do that all the way through, one at a time, just as I showed you in the earlier demonstration. And now I've got them all parented uniquely, right? So we're going to create a little animation with this, which I think is going to be fun. It's going to have a little bit of secondary action going, which is cool. It could be really anything, something. This is going to kind of sway. So depending on what you are animating, you can utilize this technique, and you can actually take those principles of animation towards, you know, just not using this parenting technique like the bouncing ball or something, where you have a rigged model, which we actually get into here soon. But let me go ahead and get to animating because, and let's move this up. Now, P cube 1, hold D and hold V, and I'm going to hold X and snap it to the grid. And I just snapped it to the bottom, and now it's on the ground, you know, the grid, the ground plane, whatever you want to call it. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and animate this. So I'm going to go ahead and rotate this. Now, it all depends on what kind of animation I'm doing. So I think in my, I've got 120 frames. I'm going to show, let's go negative 50. Forgot you guys can't see everything I've got. So frame 1 is here. Okay, so now you can see my entire timeline from frame 1 right here all the way to, oh, this might change it. Okay, so I've got frame 1 right here. And then I've got, oh, this might change it too. Okay, so frame 1 is right directly to the right of the mouse, basically. This is frame 0, this is frame 1. So every 12 frames, I'm going to do a little animation. I'm going to set a keyframe, and I'm going to start with the bottom one first. So I'm just going to simply rotate these a little bit, but actually I'm going to have it start on frame 1 at 0. Now I need to do that for each one of these, but I'm going to start with this one first, because you'll notice even if I parent the parent of the entire family here, right? If I create a keyframe on it, the others don't create their own keyframe. You'll notice here in the timeline. So none of these actually have it. So I would go through, I think the easiest way to do this is to tap S on your keyboard and create a keyframe for every single one on frame 0. And I would do that for every single one. Now if I go to frame 12, I'm just going to rotate it negative 10 degrees, tap S. And now what I'll do is I'll create a little bit extra on these, a little secondary animation, secondary motion, and rotate each one of these a little bit. just so it looks right, right? So now my first frame goes like so. Now I'm going to show you on frame 24. Let's have this from down here go positive 10. But without adjusting any of the other ones, it kind of looks a little funny, right? However, let's go frame 36. And go negative 20. And all I'm doing is you'll see it's womp, womp, womp. And to create some secondary action, maybe you can create it however you like. I'm going to go to my frame 36 real quick. Just to take a look at it. Now I'm going to go back to 24. I just wanted to briefly look at it. I can start to... And this doesn't need to be perfect. And you're going to see that I'm going to start to get some of that sway. And then on frame 36, I need to do the same thing because I already created a keyframe there. So I'm going to switch to my front view and just hit play real quick. Because it was looking a little weird. Now in frame 48, I'm going to bring it even further. And I'm just tapping S on my keyboard after I slightly move each one. And if I hit play, frame 60, bring it to negative 40, and let's just see what happens. And you're starting to get a lot of cool action happening, and I know it seems very simple, but, and let's go to 72. Oh, now let's go to 90. And now let's start to dial it back a little bit. Oh, this should have been on 84, every 12 frames, right? So I'm going to middle mouse button click back to frame 84 with each one of these selected from frame 90. Neat little trick. And what that does is it basically copies the properties to frame 84. And now I can delete frame 90 on all of these. And just right click directly to the right of the red line. And that red line represents your keyframe. So let's go ahead and play it back, right? I'm gonna hit play. And now I'm gonna dial it back, frame 96. I might have taken it a little too far, but whatever. We'll go frame 96. We'll go down to 30. $108, 10 or -10. Can you still see my frame 1? Yeah, perfect. And then here, I'm just gonna take it to 0. And now if I play it again, right, I've got this little looping animation. And you could go in here, like even on here, little like overlapping sort of action here. Oh, wrong frame. On frame 96, maybe I still have it do something like this. But I could create an in-between like we did with the squash and stretch. But I'm going to delete it. I don't like it. You can create some pretty cool stuff. So hold on. So my in-between is going to be right about and I'm just gonna go whoop, 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 whoop. So you'll see I have a slightly different little wave at the end, and you can play around with it, have fun. But it's really all it is. Just have a little fun with the lab. 120 frames every 12 frames. You can create some in-betweens if you want, but ultimately this is what I'm looking for. So we have 5 objects parented to one another, right? Now the last thing I want to cover is layers, which I've already kind of drilled you on, and groups I've talked about here and there. So I want to show you a cool little trick, which I've actually already showed you, but I want to show it to you again in case you forgot, because it's a great little modeling trick. I'm going to create a cube. I'll move it out here. Say -4 is fine, whatever. And then I'm going to hold D and X and bring this down to the center. Now I'm going to tap Shift D to duplicate with transform. I'm going to rotate this, I don't know, -20 degrees. And now I'm going to Shift D all the way around until it gets back to the beginning. So now I've got this little circle, and the next thing I want to show you is how to group these objects. So you know, this would be great if it's like a little campfire, right? This is our flame. We add some cool little texture kind of thing to it. I mean, I've seen it done. But just as an idea, if these were like campfire logs and then this was sort of how our flame was going, just to throw some imagination out there. But anyway, we want to get to grouping. So I'm going to select holding shift each and every single one of these. And I showed you this on the midterm importing objects, but in case you didn't watch it, hold Control and G to group. Now I'm going to name that group. I'm going to call this circle of cubes. And then I always like to put GRP, so I know it's a group. And you'll notice now that my circle of cubes here is all selected and done, right? I can easily add this to a layer. So similar to how this grouping mechanism works, same thing. Oh, I didn't just accidentally, let me grab that out. There we go. I actually dragged that into this and I didn't mean to. All right, so similar to how the grouping works, but the group, just to show you visually in the outliner, and that's Windows, general editors, probably modeling. Oh, display. Where do you find it again? I forget. Oh, Windows Outliner. Windows Outliner. I was under the general editors. Windows Outliner right here. And then I just drag and drop it and dock it onto the side. So my circle of cubes group just has all my cubes here, one after the other, and I can see them all. The way my parenting group works, if I click this, I have pcube1 as the base. I have to click the little plus button down this hierarchy to be able to see the other objects. So that's a little difference because this one is connected to this one's connected to that one's connected to that one, and it's a little hierarchy of how it works. So it is a little bit visually represented differently, but you can kind of see the similarities. And now the last thing I want to cover is layers. So I'm going to put each one of these cubes on its own layer. So I'm going to select the first one, layer, create layer from selected. What is this one? Cube 5 layer. I'm going to copy that just to make it work a little bit faster. And now I'm going to do the same thing all the way down. And now I'm going to have each one of these on its own layer. And I try to keep them all, this is layer, cube 2 layer, so p cube 2, so it's just easier that way. And now I've got 5 layers, each with its own layer cube on it. But if I hide the first one, it's going to hide them all. And if you remember why, it's because that's the main parent of all the children. So, excuse me. But if I do it the opposite way, I can unhide one at a time. So anyway, another thing about grouping is when I click on this cube, if I tap up on the keyboard, it's going to select my entire group. Same thing here. If I click on the last cube here, I tap up, it selects the next one. I tap up, it selects the next parent. I select up, it selects the next parent. And I select that, and it goes to the next one. And that's just pressing up on the directional pad. So those are all pretty neat little tricks. Let me just double check to make sure that I went over the entire 5 cubes, all parented correctly, 120 frames. similar to how I animated it in the video, every 12 frames. That's a total of 120 frames. A minimum of 2 objects grouped together. Also name the group. Have 2 separate objects selected and press Control G to group objects. So I already showed you how to do that, except we grabbed a lot more than that. Let's go back into Maya. So we've got them all parented. We have our 120 frames of animation. This is a slider down here to adjust the length of your slide bar. And this little box down here in the bottom right corner will, if I wanted to have 500 frames, now I have 500 frames. I just have to drag that out so I can see it. And that would be frame 500. So anyway, we're gonna go back to 120. And you can see everything here. So this is all I'm looking for. You can go ahead and submit your Maya file. It should look very similar to this. I don't expect any of them to be identical, but I hope you took some good takeaways from this. Grouping is extremely important. Parenting is very, very cool. And obviously layers I've already showed you numerous times. But anyway, other than that, if you have messages, shoot me a message on Canvas inbox. Let me know if you're struggling with anything. And I'll respond as quickly as I possibly can. Other than that, I hope you all had a wonderful day. I hope you took something away from this video, and I look forward to seeing you soon in the next one. And don't forget, I always say it 100 times, but I'm going to continue saying it. Message me with any questions, concerns, or anything that I can help with right away on Canvas inbox. All right, thank you so much. Hope you enjoyed the lab, and see you soon.